Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be my February reading wrap up. So I know that people say this a lot, but like I truly can't believe that it's March. I feel like my semester, which started about mid-January, like literally just started, but also at the same time I feel like it's been forever. So it's definitely been a weird month and a half, 2 months of school where I'm just like, I feel like it's going really quickly, but I'm also feeling like it's going really slowly. And I think part of that is because of the reading I've been doing. And honestly, I've been really proud of myself because January I read 10 books and in February I read 8 books. And I'm a little nervous because I feel like that could mean that there's a reading slump creeping up on me. I don't know, I feel like usually when I do really well like this, it can quickly kind of turn around and put me in a reading slump. So I'm really hoping that that doesn't happen. But I don't know. I just feel like I could see it coming because I'm just reading so much so quickly and like just boom, 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 like back to back. And sometimes that can lead to that, but hopefully not. But like I said, this is my reading wrap up for February. So I will tell you all the 8 books that I read, what I rated them, all that good stuff. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy. Let's get into the video. Okay, so the first books that I read was the Grip trilogy by Kennedy Bryan. So we have Flow, Grip, and Still. So I will go through each one and tell you guys what I rated them and what I thought about them and stuff like that. So starting with Flow, which is a very, very short, like, I think what, 100 pages maybe? Yeah, it's about 100 pages, a little bit more. And it's basically, I feel like, just a very good introduction to who the characters are and kind of an idea of maybe like what their storyline is going to kind of feel like and look like. It's like brother's best friend, or you could think of it in the other reverse, best friend's sister. And like, I don't know, I'm always like a sucker for that. So it's kind of like forbidden, but not really. And so this book is just kind of them meeting and like the vibes that they feel from the beginning. I wouldn't say it's insta love, but there's definitely like an instant like kind of connection and like trust, and they just get like, I don't know, very deep very quickly with each other. So that was mainly what Flow was. And then you move on to Grip, which is the second book in the Grip trilogy. And this is where like, I don't want to say the main part of the story happens because a lot happens still, but I would say like this is the main part of the story when you're reading like a normal kind of like, whether it's a standalone or an interconnected standalone in a series where like a couple, you know, has their beginning issues with, in this couple it's, you know, but I can't be with you because you're my best friend's sister, or I can't be with you because you're my brother's best friend, and like what are we gonna do about that and all that. So that's kind of that, but then also there's another element to it with like music and producing and all of that. And so I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like that was kind of what this one felt like. And then Still, I wouldn't say an epilogue novel, but it's like that kind of idea, like usually when you read an epilogue where it's kind of like just one chapter and it's kind of quickly being like, oh, and they had kids and they got married and happily ever after. It's kind of like, okay, this is like, what is the right word? Like they're taking the story farther than normally they do. So like you have Grip, we meet, we get together, we're having our normal issues, but things are good and we're happy and la la. Then you go to Still and it's like things are still happy, but then we kind of have a bit of a, I wouldn't say issue between each other. I would say there's issues from external sources, which a lot of it relates to race aspects, because oh, I'm already forgetting their names. Oh, why? Yes. So Marlon is black and Bristol is white, and that is a big controversial thing. If I remember correctly, really in Still, but it is brought up slightly in Grip, about people in their lives, and also because Marlon, who's also called Grip, that's like his music name, is very much like, I love her and I want to be with her, and he has all these fans, and a lot of them are like, yes, yay, go you guys. And then there's a lot of other fans who are like, no, I don't think you guys should be together because I don't like the idea of like a successful black man getting with a white woman. Like, so there's definitely some controversy there. So that's why I said it's not necessarily them in Still that gets the controversy, it's more external sources, and just kind of working through that, and then just continuing building their relationship and getting to a stronger point in their relationship. So I absolutely adored this series. I thought that They were all so good, and I overall would rate this a like 5-star series. I think that it was really well written, and I didn't feel like it was too much. Like I felt like I could have seen where like, well, but like what if still is like just not needed? Like what if we didn't need it? But I feel like it made sense to have it, and it just like gave you more clarity on who the characters are as people and like their journey in life. So I really really liked it. So I rated Flow 4 stars because it's really short, but I really enjoyed getting to know the characters this way and just kind of having that introductory novel to be like, okay, like, are you gonna kind of like this idea of where I'm going with the story? If not, like, you can just stop there and you don't have to worry about reading like a 300-400 page book. Or, yeah, I do like this and I do want to continue reading. So I kind of liked that aspect of it. And then Grip, oh, it was so good, guys. I loved it. I literally read it, I think, in like a day or maybe a day and a half. I rated this 4.75 stars. It was really, really close to being a 5-star. It just, I don't know, there was just something missing. And I feel like this is where I really struggle to explain to you guys 4.75 and 5, like the difference. There is just a feeling I get when I read a 5-star. And that's why I'm saying like the whole series together is definitely like a 5-star. Like I got that feeling when I think about the series, but each book itself didn't necessarily give me that feeling like by itself, if that makes sense. So yeah, this was 4.75, and then this one was 4.5. I just got irritated at some of the stuff that happens in the book, which is kind of what you're supposed to, I feel like is supposed to happen. But I don't know, not that it felt like it wasn't necessary. Just I really hate getting irritated in books, so it did bring it down a little bit. But it was still 4.5. It's still an amazing book, and I would definitely recommend reading the Grip trilogy. If you guys like Kennedy Ryan, haven't read it, 100% read it. If you haven't read Kennedy Ryan and you're interested, I started with the Hoops trilogy and I had a really good time, but this is better than the Hoops trilogy. I will 100% say that. They're very different though, so like if you like the tropes better of the Hoops trilogy versus this, like you can still read that. Like I wouldn't say like don't read it. But yeah, I just like this series was, it was chef's kiss. It was so amazing. So I am just super glad that I was able to read this in February. But yeah, so I rated it each one separately, but then as a whole, this little trilogy I would say is definitely like a 5-star trilogy for me. Okay, the next book that I read was All I've Wanted, All I've Needed by A.E. Valdez. So I had never heard of this author before until probably beginning of January. I had saw someone post about this specific book. And then when I was looking for Black authors to read in February, besides the ones that I already wanted to read, but I wanted to read other ones that I didn't know about, kind of branching out, and maybe finding authors that are like not as well known. And I saw a bunch of people talking about this, and I was like, okay, I gotta read this. Like people are raving about it, and I want to know. And wow, I wouldn't even say like the book itself was like there wasn't anything that was like, oh my god, I've never read this before. But there was just something about the way it was written and the characters that I just like fell in love and was like addicted to it. I rated this a 4.75 as well. Like, let me just tell you, February was a great reading month. It was so good. And I enjoyed Ace and Sunshine, that's like their nicknames, just so much. And like, I can't even express to you, like I was giggling, I was kicking my feet, I was smirking, I was blushing. Certain scenes where I was like, oh, I'm in public, I need to close my Kindle app. Like it was just so good. And I maybe continued reading the series through the month. I don't know, maybe we'll find out. But it was just really, really good. I also loved the side characters, some of which get books, some of them don't get books, but are still mentioned throughout the rest of the series. But I don't know. I think it had to have been the writing because like I said, there's nothing in the book that like I haven't necessarily read before. So I don't know, it just like drew me in and I was addicted. It was so good. So I rated that a 4.75 stars. Then I read Dear Amelia by Asia Monique, and unfortunately this one was not as hard-hitting as I was hoping it would be, as well as the other books that I read in February. It was still like a decent book. Like I wouldn't say that there was anything where I was like, oh, like this is bad. I just kind of like read it, and the second I was done, I was just kind of like, eh. And I didn't like have any strong feelings towards it. And I like honestly can't even really remember like what happened in the book. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't. Like, it has left my brain. I read it earlier on in the month, and I don't know. So that I only gave a 3.25, I think, because it wasn't bad. I just, because I literally can't remember anything, I feel like it's not really fair to rate it much higher. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't get any sort of like super strong feelings and emotion connecting to the characters and the storyline. Which I know it's a series, and I was really interested in like the other books, but since I just didn't like this one, I'm nervous to go into the other ones because I'm like, well, was it the storyline? Was it the author's writing? Like, I don't know. So for right now, I'm gonna put it on a little pause. I don't know if I'm gonna continue it or not, but maybe I'll come back to it. I just like, I don't know. It was there. I don't necessarily regret reading it. I'm glad I gave it a try because I was looking forward to it. I just think that it wasn't for me, and that's okay. But I know that a lot of people like it, so I still would say if it interests you plot-wise, definitely still give it a shot. It just wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, so. Okay, so the next book that I read was a reread, and that was me rereading Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. So I think I read this in 2023. I know I didn't read it last year for the first time. I think it was 2023. I want to say like maybe around the same time as now in 2023. But I had originally listened to this as well as Bloodmark, which is the second book. I had listened to both of them on Audible, and I really enjoyed them. I mean, I thought they were interesting. I thought it was fun. It is more like YA fantasy than adult fantasy. So there's definitely not as much spice, but there's still a lot of interesting plotline, which keeps you drawn in, and there is still like some tension that goes on between some characters. Oh my god, I'm sorry. There is an eyelash poking my eyeball. But so I would say if you're someone who likes like really likes adult fantasy but is interested in this plot but is like, yeah, but it's YA, like I don't know, I would still give it a try because I definitely think that there is still a lot of aspects in it that is really like, I feel like I use the word addicting a lot, but it's just like you want to keep reading, and it keeps drawing you in. So I bought a physical copy of this and Bloodmarked when I did my Barnes & Noble little trip with my friend Kara earlier this month. And so I was able to read a physical copy of it because I was like, listening to books, I feel like I don't always like get everything. And I was like, I really want to reread it, and I know Oathbound is coming out in March, and I was just like, you know what, I want to physically read it this time. So I did, and oh, it was so good. I actually upped the rating. The first time I read it, I rated it a 3.5 or a 3.75, and I moved it up to a 4. I had a really good time. I went through this actually really quickly. I'm actually not struggling like I don't want to read it. I'm just going through Bloodmarked slower, which unfortunately I did not finish in February. I'm still reading it, and it is March 1st when I'm filming this. So I hope to get it done soon though, so it will be in March's reading wrap up. But I went through this really quickly. I think I read it in like 4 days. So I was just like, page... I love not being able to speak. Okay. I was basically just like, you know, flipping pages. I was like, oh, and next chapter. It was just so good. So I would definitely recommend it, even if you're a little hesitant on it. I think it's really interesting. I also think it's very different fantasy-wise than most of the ones I see and I read. So that was nice to kind of get a little change out there. But yeah, I upped it from, like I said, I think it was 3.5 or 3.75. I don't remember which one. I've upped it now to a 4. I think it was really good, and I'm very excited, obviously, to finish Bloodmark, but I'm very excited for Oathbound to come out this month. Like, oh my god, wait. I think it comes out on March 4th. So like 3 days from today. Wait, that's crazy. Or maybe it's the 14th. I don't know. I think it has March something with a 4, but I'm pretty sure it's the 4th. I will put it on the screen if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's March 4th. But yeah, I'm very excited. So this was the 6th. I think this is the 6th book that I read because I think I only have 2 more. So yeah, 6th. Okay, so the next book that I read was Colliding with Fate. So that is also by A.E. Valdez, and that is technically the second book in the Rise and Fall series, I think is what that series is called. So basically the first book and the third book are Ace and Sunshine's book, and then, and I'm saying Sunshine because for some reason I'm literally blanking on her name. I don't know why I'm forgetting her name. Harlow. I'm pretty sure his name is pronounced Asen in Harlow, but everyone pretty much calls him Ace except for Harlow. So they're book 1 and 3, and then Quinn and Kyrell, which is Colliding with Fate, is book 2. And so I read that, and oh my god, guys, I ate that shit up. It was so good. Like, Kyrell, oh my god, like, sir. So I gave that a 4.5. I had a really, really fun time. My favorite trope was at the end. So that did down it a little bit, especially for how it happened. I understand it being a way to progress the plot and create some drama in a book. I get it. I understand it. I don't necessarily hate that it happened. I just also hate that trope sometimes. So it's a very hit or miss trope with me. It wasn't a total miss for this. I just felt like, you know, Kyrell was dealing with something that I'm not going to spoil because it's a big spoiler, but he was dealing with something. And then that happened, which, if you don't know what my least favorite trope is, because I was being sarcastic earlier, if you couldn't tell, it involves a large belly that a woman gets. It would be accidental pregnancy. Yeah. So that's in there. Love that for me. So fun. Basically, I just hated the timing of it less than them getting pregnant. That I didn't have an issue with because I think that they were going to go that route quite quickly anyways. But I just hated the timing of it, which again, I know is purposeful to create drama, but I didn't like the drama, and my baby Kyrell, he was going through things and he did not need another thing on his plate. And Quinn was also trying to help him go through these things, and she did not need that added onto her plate. So it docked points a little bit for that. But overall, it was so good. Like, I know that they're technically only rated like 0.25 different, but all I wanted, all I've needed, and Colliding with Fate were like, I mean, they were so close. They were so good. I love them, and I love that little like universe they have together. And there's like so many side characters, and like not in like a bad way, not where it's like you're confused who these people are. It felt very like homey, and I just love it. So that was the 7th book that I read, and then the 8th book that I read was The Beginning of Forever, which is the 3rd book, which is basically, I would say, it's basically Asen and Harlow's like I don't want to say epilogue novel, but it basically like wraps up their story. So like they, of course they're getting married. So they're supposed to get married. They end up eloping for reasons that you find out. And then they end up having their bachelor and bachelorette parties. And so we get that in the book. And then there's like the epilogue of them being like, oh, we're happy. And oh my God, baby, you know, so, I rated that a 4.25 only because it was a shorter book and it was mostly just kind of like catch up. Like, oh, hey, by the way, the little time in between the 1st and the 2nd book, as well as a little bit after the 2nd book, here's kind of where we are. Like, so, it wasn't bad. I don't necessarily say, I don't want to say it wasn't necessary because I haven't read the 4th book, so I can't guarantee that it's not necessary. But I feel like it wasn't as important to their story. But I still had a fun time with it. Like, if you like the characters and you like the author, there's no reason not to read it. And there were some funny scenes in that book. I was laughing, I think, more in that book than I was anything else. And really it was just all the characters getting to be together and interact, which I think is always really fun. You guys know I'm not gonna say that on YouTube. What is a better word I can use than that word? I don't know. I'm very much a fan of found family. I was going to use a different word to express it because I feel like that truly is just more me. Like, I'm a big believer that if you're not using a curse word at someone, it's just a very large way to emphasize something. And so that's why I use them a lot. But I really try not to because I know that it's not necessarily YouTube's favorite thing, but that whole series so far has been really good. I do think I will be reading the 4th one in March. but I also have all the other books on my TBR to read, so we'll see when I get to it. But yeah, that was what I read in February. Okay guys, so that was my video for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know what my next video will be exactly. I'm assuming some sort of reading vlog, or like weekly like read with me type vlog thing. But I haven't decided what I want to do yet because I never know what I want to do. It's always very much just what I'm feeling in the moment, which is the same thing with my reading. I'm definitely a mood reader, even though I do try to have TBRs and stick to them. But yeah, I hope that you guys are all doing well, and if you guys have any questions or comments, you can always leave that down below in the comment section. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!